I think at one point we've all related to choice paralysis in some way or another. Lately, it's been video games for me, and I think this is a common enough thing where, you're excited to play video games all day. You finally come home, you sit down, you get ready to boot up something, but all you do is just look at all the games you could play, and it's overwhelming. You decide to go with none because that choice is too hard to make. It's the idea that something else could be more fun than what you're doing right now. And how are you supposed to stop that? Is there even a way to? So today we're talking about the paralysis of making a choice and trying to overcome that so you can actually do something. So I mentioned video games. Another thing where I notice it is when I'm in my car, I'm driving, I have my playlist on. It's kind of the opposite, where instead of trying to find a song to play, I just keep skipping through songs because I think the next one might be best. And I notice that when I'm with someone else, it's better because I'm not as concerned about finding the next one. I'm just trying to make sure I find a song that they can enjoy as well. And so, okay, let's go back to video games for a second here. I've been struggling with this recently, where I've had all these games I want to play, and I don't really have a backlog. I've learned that that's a bad habit for me, and so what I do is I just have them on my home screen on my PlayStation, and I have most of the time a single player game that I'm playing and a multiplayer one, and I'll kind of go in between these ones depending on how I'm feeling or what I'm doing. I like to listen to music when I play, so I actually don't really get a lot of single player games done. And what I try to do is I try to keep all my games to one console. I find it easier to manage my ongoing games that way. I feel less overwhelmed like that. And so lately I've had a PS3, my PC, and my PS5. I've kind of been rotating from all of them there. And the issue I have with that is it is truly too much choice. I have too many games I want to play, and I have too much games on the go. And then I'll open up Reddit and see, hey, this old game is great, you should play it, or this new game is great, you should play it. And I feel like I should play it, obviously, because the internet is telling me so. Or oftentimes it won't be, I don't buy it too much in a hype, but I'll see a cool edit of a character, like James from Silent Hill or something, and then I want to play Silent Hill. But then the next one I'll see is Leon from Resident Evil, and then I want to play Resident Evil, like that sort of thing. And so each day it's like I almost have a new obsession, which is weird. It's strange to try to navigate that. Another thing I run into is I feel like a fake fan of a lot of video games and fandoms. I think this is one of the downsides of TikTok, one of the big downsides. I'm afraid of being called a poser or, being called fake or something. And so I need to know everything there is about some video game or some TV show or whatever it is. And I need to collect all the things and have the exclusive signed autograph, because otherwise I feel like I'm not a big enough fan. Now, a lot of people in my family are collectors, and this is another issue I run into, is I have a fairly, I don't want to say big, but I have a decent amount of physical video games, and I had to keep putting them away. I keep them hidden away, because what would happen is I would be playing a game, and then my eyes would drift to my collection there, and then I'd want to play one of those games. And it was such a bad habit I was getting into it, so I'm like, how am I going to fix this? So I decided to hide my physical games. So this might be the first solution for you, is put your, whether it be physical games like game discs, or if you have a digital library, you can hide your games on that as well, to give it the illusion that you have a smaller collection, and therefore falsely eliminating the choice. I know a lot of people say, I miss when I was a kid and I'd play whatever for hours. The thing is, you only had 1 or 2 games to play, and it doesn't matter how bad those games were. It's because that was the only thing you could play, and so you didn't have much choice. I remember I played a lot of Majora's Mask as a kid, but I never got past being a Deku Nut. And I look at that now and I'm like, I would have just searched up a guide and been done with it. I wouldn't have cared enough about the world. And that's a funny thing, is I didn't know any of the songs that you could play. I would play it, I would be running around the world, and I don't know if I even got out of Clocktown. I don't think I did. I'd pretend that I was like a citizen there and like go talking to people and stuff. And the world would end, the moon would crash, and then I'd restart the game and keep playing. And it's so funny because I look at it now and I'm like, no, now I want to get all these things done and know the end of this game, and be a fan of this thing. But why? I feel like I can't be a casual fan, So putting that aside, I mentioned I like to listen to music while playing games. And yeah, that's true. So I don't play a lot of single player games. I play a lot of multiplayer games when I'm listening to music. Usually just like a Call of Duty or something. Lately I've been playing the Finals, which is just another first person shooter. But they are so predatory. I used to be really big into Overwatch, but I've had to distance myself from it because it was literally sucking the fun from video games for me. I looked at battle passes as a chore rather than a fun thing that added more content. So as of lately, I've been playing Black Ops 1 multiplayer and zombies because there's no battle pass, there's no FOMO, there's nothing along those lines. It's the same game that I'll play tomorrow that I play today. There's a recent event in Overwatch for loot boxes, where if you play 5 games, you get 1 loot box, which isn't great. Each game is about 10 minutes, so it's a good time sink. I spent a little bit of my weekend playing it, and then I got about 2 or 3 loot boxes to the point where I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not enjoying it. I'm just doing it to grind loot boxes out. And I stopped. I was like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm going to go do something else. And I did. I don't remember what I did, but it wasn't Overwatch. So that's the other thing. I think try to evaluate what kind of games you're playing and as if that's the issue. Because it might be. And it might be just as simple as switching the game genre for you. It's also a personal thing, right? What works for someone else might not work for you. I like having my games in a list because it makes me feel less overwhelmed because I'm not constantly thinking of what other games I have because they're all right there. And it just makes it a little easier for me. Maybe you don't like a list and that's fine. You don't need to do that. But try to figure out what works for you and mold your gameplay or your game style around that. Another thing I mentioned was having one console. It's a hard thing that I run into is I like to be a minimalist. I like to be able to put my console in my backpack, which is a weird thing, but there's just something comforting about it. If I have to leave, I can just take my console with me. And I have a PS3 Super Slim, and I love that thing because it fits that description perfectly. And I think it's putting false limits on yourself might actually help you in the long run. And so I limit myself to only PS3 games, and I'm having fun with these older games, and I'm like, why not, Getting a bit off track here, sorry guys. But I think that's about it for this video. I think I got my points across. And choice paralysis does suck. It's a serious problem. And I hope that if you're struggling with it, that maybe this helped you out a little bit. Maybe it's encouraged you to pick up a game. Or even just start something new, Doesn't have to be video games. Could even be art. You can get choice paralysis with everything. But I believe that you're strong. You can get through. All right. So take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next video. Alrighty. Okay. Bye-bye.